Coming up on today's edition of the Bulls Report, we have a major injury update around Lonzo Ball from head coach Billy Donovan, and then also a timetable has been released for Torrey Craig as he is battling back from that knee injury. That is coming up just around the corner. But first off, I want to kind of give a formal apology to Bulls fans after what we witnessed the last night against the Detroit Pistons. The Bulls lost for the second time this season to Detroit in embarrassing fashion. I'm just sorry for Bulls fans and just Chicago sports fans in general, because over the last 5 years, not just the Bulls, but the Cubs, the White Sox, the Blackhawks, and the Bears, it has been rough times in Chicago. And the Bulls organization won't come out and apologize to you, but I apologize to Bulls fans. Chicago sports deserves better, and Chicago basketball deserves better. It's just disappointing. I just wanted to get that out there. I'm sorry for everybody who had to watch that game last night. We'll touch on that a little bit more in the second half of today's video, but let's just dive into it. So we do have more negative news here around Lonzo Ball, because Billy Donovan had some interesting quotes on just going over where he is at in his rehab process, because we did hear at the start of the new calendar year, Lonzo was starting to get back into basketball shape was the update we got. So I assumed he was, ahead of schedule and he would be ready for the start of next season. It may not look like that. And then also Torrey Craig update coming up soon. But guys, let's start off here. If you want Lonzo Ball to get healthy, if you hope he will be back on the basketball court for the Chicago Bulls, just like today's video, get the good mojo out there, get the good voodoo out there. It's simple, it's easy, it's free. Drop a like on today's video to show Lonzo Ball some love and some support. But let's dive into what Joe Cowley had to say, and we obviously know he works for the Chicago Sun-Times, and he said this. He said, after a source told the Sun-Times earlier in the day that the Bulls were having even more concerns about Ball's progress in his left knee rehabilitation, Coach Billy Donovan was asked about it and didn't exactly paint a picture of positivity. This is what Billy Donovan had to say. He says, I don't know if he's stuck. He is doing some shooting, some running, some jumping. He hasn't done any sprinting yet that I know. When I got this report, it just absolutely ruined my day. Because I thought Lonzo, because the original report we had, he was ahead of schedule. He was looking good. He may be back out there in the summer playing with this team. Turns out it's completely opposite direction. Turns out he hasn't been able to sprint on that left knee yet. Incredibly disappointing, because at this point in the rehab process, we would expect him maybe almost ramping up to play some 3-on-3, some 5-on-5 games. Turns out he can't even really get himself in the full gear. And again, that just ruined my day. But Billy Donovan also said this about Lonzo Ball. He said they talked about that, about the sprinting. And sprinting was kind of a goal, a set point. I do think the one thing that has been a priority right now, so he does not get set back, is he needs to develop more strength in his leg. He carried on to say, because of him having that surgery and being off his leg so long, before he's really able to ramp up, I think they want him to get to a place physically that relates to his quad strength, hamstring strength, before he starts to really do that. I don't know what to say. It's a holdup, but that's where they want to get him to. In terms of what he's doing, he feels better. And honestly, I'm at this point with Lonzo, I just hope he plays again. I've kind of gave up the fact that he could get back to his former self, because obviously I'd love that for him. But I just hope he puts on a Bulls uniform and is able to play an NBA basketball game just one more time in his career, because it has almost been 2.5 seasons since he was out there on the basketball court. It was the 2021-22 season was the last time he played, and when he played that year, he was fantastic, and I was so proud of him, man. I mean, because the scrutiny he got coming out of the NBA draft, mainly because the bullseye that his dad put on his back, he fought through it, and he was incredible. I mean, 13 points a game, 5.4 rebounds, 5.1 assists, was able to shoot it from downtown at 42.3%. He was kind of that playmaker in transition, and he was just absolutely special. Not just his own game, but the way he elevated his teammates. We saw DeMar DeRozan that season was in the MVP conversation, averaging 27.9 points per game. A big reason of that was because of Lonzo, him getting him open shots, him pushing the ball in transition, and his ability to legitimately guard 1 through 4 as a point guard. 6'6", long wingspan. nasty handle. Like, he had everything you wanted in a modern-day point guard. He was absolutely special. He kept developing, but obviously, his career took a different path. And this was actually what Lonzo had to say. And, obviously this report was obviously negative, but this made me feel a lot better. And he said, after the other surgeries, this one has definitely gone the best as far as the recovery process. The last 2 rehab processes I was getting better, and then it just hit a standstill, and it started to go down. And I still haven't hit that yet. And also, with that quote, this was before Billy Donovan came out and said that we're kind of at a point where we don't know why he's not sprinting. So, honestly, could be more negative that he could have hit that standstill, and he could be hitting that wall right now. But it also just gets me to this, what Lonzo has gone through with the Bulls, I really will say, even though it was only 35 games, for me personally, he is a Bulls legend no matter what. If he doesn't suit up again for Chicago, I will always view him as a Chicago Bull. And I think that just kind of speaks to who he is as a person and a player, considering he only played 35 games for that team. But coming up next, I do have an update on Torrey Craig. A timetable was set. And then also, I just need to get something off my chest and rant a little bit about this Bulls loss to the Pistons last night, because frankly, I am just not over it. But before we dive into that, I do want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Factor. I absolutely love Factor. And if you guys head to factormeals.com/BullsChat50 and use code BullsChat50, you will get 50% off. That's code BullsChat50 at factormeals.com/BullsChat50 to get 50% off. I absolutely love the loaded bacon shredded chicken that they offer at Factor Meals. It is delicious. It is very, very tasty, and it's also good for you as well. But Factor, it's 2-minute meals. You fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant-quality meals that are ready to heat and eat whenever or wherever you are. Snacks, smoothies, and more. Discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. Sign up and save today. We have done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, upscale options that are done easily. I'll make sure to put this link for you guys in the comment section and description of today's show. Absolutely love Factor. Get it hooked up today. Use that code BullsChat50, and you guys will get 50% off. So the Torrey Craig update we got is that he is expected to be out until at least March 11th with his knee surgery. Obviously, a little disappointing news because we thought it was going to be before the end of before the end of February, but obviously it's going to be pushed back. I could see Torrey Craig being shut down for the rest of the year. That wouldn't shock me one bit. But during his time with the Bulls this season, he was all right. When we signed Torrey Craig, he thought he was a guy that was going to help us get better on the margins, be a solid defender, be a solid three-point shooter, and that's exactly what he is. The stats do tell the full story with this season. 6 points a game, 4 rebounds, 42% from the field, 37.5 from downtown. He is what we expected when we signed him. But the whole thing is, when the Bulls signed Torrey Craig, I said this at the time, Torrey Craig would be a great signing for a team that's kind of on the verge of championship contention. But with where the Bulls were, it just didn't really make sense to make a margin-increasing signing when the Bulls weren't even close to contending for championship. So I like Torrey Craig. He was good for the Bulls this season, but again, did he really push a needle or move a needle? No, it was just kind of, what we expected. Let's talk about it now. I need to get this off my chest. I need to rant a little bit. The Bulls just absolutely embarrassed themselves last night versus the Pistons. And the stat that obviously is being thrown around out there, the Bulls shot, think about this, in the modern day NBA, it is 2024. The Bulls shot 2 of 29 from downtown. That was the second worst ever in NBA history. Not just for the Bulls, not just for an Eastern Conference team, for the entire NBA. That was the second worst ever. They were at one point yesterday, they were 1 of 22 from downtown at home versus the Detroit Pistons. It is a joke what is going on in this basketball organization. And let's just, rub it in a little bit more. So the Pistons coming in the last night, they had 8 wins. Obviously, they picked up another one. So they have 9 wins on the season. 2 of them are against the Chicago Bulls. It is a joke. And actually, the first loss this year to the Pistons was when Levine had 51 points. And this team still lost. It is embarrassing. The franchise should be ashamed of themselves, and they should also be ashamed that they did not sell any players at the NBA trade deadline. And it is the biggest FU to your fans when you said, oh, we think we can compete. We're going to push all of our chips to the center of the table, and we're going to go out there and try to make a playoff run here. I just can't believe that that was the thought process they have. They didn't sell anybody. They had a chance to move off DeMar DeRozan. They had Philly calling for Andre Drummond, giving up 2 second-round picks. They had the Warriors calling for Alex Caruso, willing to give up Moses Moody and a first-round pick. You know what the Bulls did? They hung up on all of those guys because over time, the Bulls have just consistently overvalued their own assets, have been unwilling to make a trade to improve themselves for the future, and that is why you are stuck in the NBA purgatory once again. The Bulls will be the 9th seed heading into the playoffs, and they will win one play-in tournament game and then lose to either the Heat, Pacers, Magic, Sixers, whoever it may be, and they will be once again selecting 14th in the NBA draft. I am sick. I am just frankly sick of it. And also it brings me back to this. I knew the season was over after game 1. When I got on here and we did a live watch party for that game, and we watched the Bulls take on the Thunder, and they just got ran out of their own gym. It was embarrassing. And after that game, they had a players-only meeting. If that just doesn't scream insecurity in your own confidence, in your own basketball team that you are on, that after one game of an 82-game season, the Bulls had to have a player-only meeting. It was just a joke, and I can't believe this season has honestly gone absolutely the worst way possible, and I am just incredibly frustrated. But let me know, how frustrated are you with the Chicago Bulls? Scale it for me 1 through 100. Honestly, I probably should have put this as scale it for me 99 through 100 because I'm assuming all of you guys are at a solid 100 right now, and it's just frustrating. And obviously I was excited after that big win they had against the Pelicans, but you just go lose to the Pistons at home as double-digit favorites, and it's a joke. It's a joke. But let me know, how frustrated are you 1 through 100? And always, guys, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Even though times are gloom right now in Chicago, I got you covered with Bulls videos almost every single day. So hit that sub button, lock us in, go Bulls.